Guys, Roxanne here from Tiny Home Living. Well, it is a chilly old day on the prairie today. It had to come sooner or later, and I really don't care. At this point in time, I've got this puppy fired up. It's nice and cozy in the tomato storage facility. Now I've actually got tomatoes in the bathroom. On top of the jars. This is the jar storage facility. So I still haven't sorted through this bin. It's too deep, so I think what I'm going to do is use this box next and mix them with this, the ripest Romas, and put Chris on the food mill because I actually, it hurts to breathe after peeling so many tomatoes. So I have the same problem with my shoulder, you know, for the last 30 years, really, ever since working on the assembly line. So I think we are going to bring the pressure canner out here and try and get some tomatoes done. He's been having trouble with the generator today. He changed the oil and everything, couldn't figure out it wouldn't start, and it didn't make any sense. This generator's been fantastic. It's the Cummins one, and he took the cover off something, put his hand over the carburetor to choke it. I'm afraid I would be a little bit lost, but he can usually figure out what's wrong, and he did again. He had been trying to call a bunch of people, and of course it's a cloudy day, the solar was getting low, the power was getting low, and we actually have not had the power go down since we replaced that battery. And the last 2 years we've had to be careful, you know, what we used when we had a few days, cloudy days, and even though we've had cloudy days and everything, the solar hasn't gone down to a low level since we replaced that battery. So I think we talked to an electrician friend, and he said that battery was probably dragging the whole system down this whole time, and it totally makes sense looking back now. So anyway, awesome to have that running. Chris is going to get our electrician friend to put a switch on so that if anything goes wrong with this one, we have the portable battery and can just switch over to that very easily. So another thing just to back up to the backup. So, you know, and I just wanted to mention too, because I was in the kitchen, you know, and we turned the TV off and we turned, you know, everything off that we could. And this is another reason, you know, the design of your tiny house, especially when you're living off grid, is so important because, you know, like my stove in this one, the little off-grid range is here, the sink is here. I usually do my baking and mixing and stuff on this counter space in the other tiny house. And, you know, that's the sort of thing you need to think about when you're designing, because, you know, if you do have days where your solar system isn't keeping up, you know, you can still do the dishes, you can still, well, the water pump can be a problem, and the heater. Not the heat is propane, but it's the well pump that runs off the solar. So, but you know, you can still putter around in the kitchen, make your coffee, cook on the propane stove and everything, because you have enough daylight from the windows. And everybody told me when I was building the other tiny house, because I was posting pictures at the time, I didn't do video, and we built it in Ontario, and everybody kept saying, not enough windows, not enough windows, because there's one in the bedroom and there's one in the kitchen, that's it, and the light's coming in from the door. But, you know, you need room to put cabinets on the wall. Tiny houses make me absolutely bananas, because there's no cabinets on the wall. There's no place to put your food, there's no place to put your dishes, there's no place to put anything. So, you know, art on the wall, someplace to hang your coats, someplace to hang stuff. You know, if you had just walls of windows, the way a lot of these tiny houses do, you're giving up all of your storage. And of course, your vertical storage is so important in any tiny space. So I was just thinking about that when I was in the kitchen. I was doing the dishes and everything, and he's trying to get the generator running, and you know, you still have daylight even on a cloudy day if you think about your design. Now, I had the bathroom window covered because I had the potatoes in here. We got the potatoes all put away. They've cured plenty long enough. So we got all the potatoes put away, and so I could take the cardboard off this window. The other tiny house gets daylight from the bedroom window in the bathroom, and this one has a little window. So again, you know, when you're on a solar system, and especially if your solar's low, you don't have to turn the light on every time you go to use the washroom. The one place, well, a lot of the places that are in the city they're designed with, the half bath is on the inside of the floor plan. So you have to turn the light on every time you go in the bathroom. If you've got a house full of people, that's a lot of times you're putting the light on in the bathroom. So just little things like that. I designed this with off-grid in mind because, like I say, the wood stove is right here. The bathtub is right there. If you ever, you know, are having problem getting propane or anything, and I foresee that too, you know, you can heat up water for a bath, you can bath the kids, you can do whatever, right? You can heat up water for the dishes. So, you know, of course you would still be using the well pump, but you should often have, you should have water set aside anyway. In the winter, we put well water in milk jugs. So we put filtered water, so we have some for coffee, and we put water just for washing in the in milk jugs and vinegar jugs and things like that. I don't know I must have pushed a button on the lighting in my camera because I look like a ghost. I look kind of like Casper with the light coming in. Usually I need the light coming in for the camera, but I look a little bit like Casper today. But anyway, I just thought I'd mention that, you know, if you're thinking about, you know, think about your design. I think to the point where my brain almost explodes for quite a while, and do make a lot of changes and a lot of changes and a lot of changes before I settle on everything. And that's why, like, you know, even having this window with the light in it, this was a solid door. We just put the window in, the insert, because we had them in the storage facility. But I know those are very expensive now, and Chris literally picked them out of the garbage. But, you know, just having light here, light in the bathroom, and light in the kitchen. Three windows. You know, you don't need a lot of windows. I would never give up the storage up here, or this storage here, or the coat hook here, and then Chris is going to custom build a rack here just for my cast iron, because I need these shelves for my cookbooks. I have so many more cookbooks that I haven't even unpacked. So and then this shelf will showcase my cast iron in all the colors. But I wouldn't give up the storage above the fridge. The storage, that's another thing that makes me absolutely cuckoo in tiny houses. They'll have the fridge there and nothing above. It makes me bananas. And I know a lot of stuff makes me bananas. But again, the food will be kept cool in here. I put my leeks in here for now because I got to get the tomatoes done before I get to those. And I can feel the cool air coming out of here. So if it gets cold enough, we just can open the door, because the wood stove's going to be plenty to heat this whole place, and the other side too. I actually don't think we're going to end up using the propane heater, the Martin heater, in this tiny house. I really don't think we will, unless, you know, we go away or something. And, you know, when you have cows and chickens and stuff, you never go away, right? Like I said, we might train one of Sheldon's kids to milk Bella and take care of the chickens. But there really isn't, you know, it's pretty hard to go away when you have a tiny house or animals. It's pretty hard to go away when you have animals. Now, when we were in Ontario, we only had a wood stove. We didn't have a heating system at all. So we could go away for the day, and the stove we had, it was a Pacific Energy, wonderful stoves, would be, you know, a bed of red hot coals in the evening when we came home. And of course we, you know, Sadie was warm, and then we just had to load it up with wood again. And the same at night. It was just a fantastic stove. So somebody was asking on one of the threads on Facebook recently, and I said that, you know, the Pacific Energy they were looking at was $3,600, and was it worth it? Absolutely. Don't buy one of these pieces of junk at Canadian Tire or Home Hardware or wherever. Don't do it. There's just absolutely no comparison. So anyway, I've got this thing loaded up, and like I said, if you haven't seen the other videos, basically I loaded up. Now I've learned my lesson. Don't touch these with your bare fingers, and even this. I'm gonna push it in now. You pull it out when you're lighting the stove to open the flue. Now I can close it, and you can see I've got the door ajar, because when you want to heat the house, you just open the oven door. It was up to 350 when I came in. It's down to 250 now, and I've got this going really hot now. It's burning really hot. So it will warm right up in here, and I think, you know, for now we're gonna have to just light the stove every day just to keep it from freezing up in here. And the other thing I should mention is the washer. We plumbed in here for the washer and dryer. Now, of course, as you can see, this is all food in here, and then this baking rack. So I think I might end up, I think you've seen the 20-footer in an earlier video. We have that full-size freezer in here temporarily. If we put the washer, the idea was to put the freezer here and the washer and dryer stacked here. I might end up putting that freezer in the other 20-footer. I'm not sure. And then I could have the washer and dryer here with shelf so I could fold laundry. I'm not sure yet, but I was thinking about putting the washer and dryer side by side, and then that rack could go over here, but then of course you would have to run to the 20-footer every time you needed something out of the freezer. But then all three freezers would be in the 20-footer, which we keep heated for the stuff that can't be frozen. So anyway, I was trying to sort tomatoes here into categories like solid green, slightly green, orange, and red. And I haven't gotten to this bin yet. A lot of solid green ones in there, and then orange ones. I'd rather have them up here in the sunlight. And then I haven't even gotten to the beef steaks yet. This thing here is full of beef steaks too. But I do have to get some of the red ones out of here. And then I have beef steaks in here too. 2 more trays of them. Ay, 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 ay. So I did have them laying on here too, but I want to see if we can get, that's the other thing I should mention. We have been using the pressure canner outside on the propane thing that we use for barbecue. And I didn't know until this year that you are not supposed to use, this lighting is making me, you're not supposed to use a pressure canner on a gas stove. I didn't know that. We watch channel all the time, homesteaders. They're totally off-grid, and they use pressure canners on their gas stove all the time. Little off-grid range like ours. There's the 20-inch, but so Chris has been using it on like a solid cast iron griddle. Because apparently the extreme heat over 12,000 BTUs causes the aluminum, they're all aluminum, so they expand and contract, and they can the lid can explode off them. But I also didn't know that you can use them on a wood stove. I guess because of the solid surface, it's so heavy, and the heat isn't so concentrated like from the gas burner. So just thought I'd mention it because I've used gas stoves my whole life, and we only got up the courage to use the pressure canner this year, so we started doing a little bit of research. I had no clue at all you weren't supposed to use it on a gas range, but I also had no clue that it was okay on a wood stove. Thank goodness, because I would have like freaked out. Because tomatoes and things like that, you have to use a pressure canner. So anyway, I just thought I'd mention that too. Because like I said before, a lot of this is new to us, and so I want to make sure I share, you know, the stuff I'm learning, but also, you know, the knowledge like Chris has. I mean, put your hand over the carburetor and choke the generator to get it started right. So anyway, we are going to try and get, I think, another 14 cans or jars of tomatoes. I got them all peeled and everything yesterday. That's why I'm actually having a hard time holding this camera in front of me. Behind my shoulder, it actually hurts when I breathe and when I use my arm. So it's like taking a sip of water hurts. But so we're gonna try and get that done today. We got to start churning through these tomatoes. This is absolutely nuts. I'm gonna get these ones. We're just doing tomatoes packed in their own juice again, and then I think we better get started on some spaghetti sauce, because I may end up having to buy more jars. This is just crazy. I never in a million years thought we'd get this many tomatoes. So anyway, I'm gonna get started on that, hopefully. Look at Ruby and her babies. I think that little one's a rooster, a little runt. And maybe the white one too. Got pretty prominent combs already. Chris said if the white one's a rooster, we'll keep it, but I don't know if we need... Yeah, see, those two are challenging each other. The roosters do that all the time. I thought it was funny that the runt was always challenging the big one. That's probably why. Maybe we have two hens and look at the little cheapers are together and Rusty's chasing them, the big bully. Now he's got feathers coming off the back of his neck. He's gonna need a dickie for the winter. I'll have to get my sister to knit him one. I don't know if you saw the videos last year, but we had to put tube socks on him. Poor baby. Now see the two? Those are Hazel's too, and they're automatically going up on the high coop. Chris has been putting them up there every night so they don't poop in the nesting boxes, and now they're going there on their own, which is just awesome. And it's funny that Hazel always wants to go up with them, so that's kind of neat. Again, all of this is kind of funny to us and new to us, and I guess she's been going in here because it's kind of a drizzly, rainy day. It's been raining off and on. But that white one is so big in comparison to the others. They're really using the perches a lot now. I haven't been out here much to see them because, you know, we spent 3 days getting the barn painted and now we're concentrating on the canning, and so I haven't had much time to pay any attention to these guys. Chris fixed up this box for them to sleep in at night because I think what he's going to do is move that into the barn when it gets really cold, so that these four, Ruby will probably want to go back in with the flock, but I think it's too soon to put these little ones in with the flock, so we'll let them sleep in the barn. Bella will probably like the company. She seems to be really curious about the chickens anyway. Well, she's curious about everything, but look at the size of that white one. My goodness. Well, she's playing hard to get. I guess she's content. We are going to try and get her to start sleeping in the barn at night. She did last night. And, you know, we put her in there, we give her treats, visit with her a bit, and then she doesn't moo or bellow or anything. So she seems content, and that's great. More good news. So we have 7 jars of tomatoes in there and another 4 on deck. This is finally, excuse me, heating up. It's going up pretty quick now. I just put the thermometer inside the oven. I gotta get this one replaced. It's about 100 degrees off. It's not correct, it never did work. But I am gonna put some scones in the oven. Double chocolate, dark chocolate, and white chocolate. But I think I gotta kill some flies in here too. So I'm gonna cook some scones since I got the oven heated up anyway. So we've got our 15 pounds of pressure now. And I've started my timer. I'm doing them for 20 minutes instead of 10 because of our elevation. And I'm also doing 15 pounds instead of 10. So it's been 20 minutes. I am just going to move this canner over to the side so it'll cool down. Because that's basically the equivalent of turning the heat off. I think what I'm also going to do is get one of the small frying pans and do the same thing as I've done with the tomato jars, the ones that are going in. I don't want them to get really hot, so I put them on the frying pan behind there, and I invert it and hang it over the edge of the stove a little bit, so that basically vents it. So that should start cooling off really quickly now. It's pretty heavy, so I'm not sure I want to try lifting it. The other thing too is I had discussed with Chris having a little rolling cart here, so that I've seen them, I think at Costco, and it had a cutting board on top, so I could actually lift that right off the stove and put it onto a little cart. And then of course it would make it easier to take back and forth. The only question is, where would I put it? I'm sort of regretting putting the stove on the center of the wall. I'm finding this spot, you know, a pain to vacuum, and I'm kind of wishing I had put it right against the wall, and then I would have room on this side for a little cart. But a little too late for that. Not exactly going to move the chimney and the pipe. So I might get Chris to figure something out to put on this wall. I hate to drill into these tiles anymore. I mean, it was a lot of work doing that. But something that I could, you know, put my spoons and utensils on so they're not getting hot. Just not sure. But that's cooling down pretty quickly. And then of course we'll have to put these other 4 jars in. I had hoped to get, what was it, 14 jars, and I think I got 11. It always looks like so much tomatoes, and then, you know, like I said, I can hardly breathe from peeling tomatoes yesterday, and look at this craziness, you know, I mean, but I think we are going to put these ones through. Well, start with those ones and these ones. They're the ripest Romas. Put them through the mill and get cracking with some spaghetti sauce, because we really don't need any more canned tomatoes. If we end up with tons of spaghetti sauce, I'd rather have tons of spaghetti sauce myself, especially when I have the basil and all the herbs to put in it. But I mean, look at this. I got a bin at my feet. I've still got that huge blue bin there. I haven't sorted through this. This kind of tomato. I can't say it. Anyway, it's pretty crazy. So that gets a bunch more out of the way. Not nearly enough, but I really want to try the mill out anyway. I've always wanted to get one of those. It takes the seeds and the skin out, so you end up with all the meat from the tomatoes, and that's certainly what we need, especially with these little ones. It's just too much work. So these ones are nice and ripe, and I mean, you know, the taste of the ones that we already tried, there was one jar that didn't seal, and I mean, they just taste so awesome. And like I said, this is stuff that, you know, eliminates stuff that you know you're going to be buying at the grocery store. I think we only have about 20 jars of spaghetti sauce left. And again, pizza sauce. I can't wait to use this oven again to make pizza this winter. So I'm kind of getting in the mood for pizza now. It's just that I don't have room to move in here, so I'm having to do everything out there in the first tiny house and bring it out here. I don't have any room to work on the counters or anything until I get these darn tomatoes out of the way. And I still have to do my zucchinis and my leeks. So that's going down pretty quick. It's down to 12 already. My oven isn't getting up as high as I want it, and I can't remember what I did last year to get... I'll have to go back and watch my own videos, I guess. I can't remember how I adjusted the vents and everything to get such a high temperature in here. I've got the stove loaded right up, so I just can't remember now. I remember having this all the way in or all the way out and thinking I should have had it halfway. So I put it halfway now to try and get the oven temperature that I want, but it's still too low for my scones. And I don't want my scones to flop. So I'm not sure what, just can't remember. I don't know if I need to put this back in. And of course I have to remind myself, don't do that with a bare finger. So I think having it in sends all the heat to the oven. So we'll see, I'll check again in a few minutes. It's almost time to turn those scones and they're not cooked enough. So, oh, they look pretty good actually. Maybe I will turn them. Oh, fogged up my camera. So I'm gonna turn those scones after all. I'm gonna switch them for the trays up and down. I actually can't remember if I baked scones in here last year. Isn't that terrible? My memory's getting terrible. I know I did pizza, I know I did a pecan pie, a really deep dish one in a cast iron skillet. Did a strawberry rhubarb pie, because I spilled it all over the inside of the stove, made a mess. But I just don't remember if I did scones out here. The ones that were, I had, the bottom tray was up here. Now the ones that were on the solid rack are barely cooked, and the ones down there are going golden brown. So like I said, I switched them around. This is the thing I have to get used to, is figuring out, because it's just different than a gas stove. So figuring out whether you need the stuff up high or down low, or I've got the second batch of tomatoes in. I'm just going to sit here while they're on the 20-minute timer. Now, I did have one jar explode in there in the pressure canner. What a mess. I don't know why that would happen. We don't have enough experience with it to know. And then we went back in the house and Sadie she went out in the dark and she must have fallen in the slough water out there, the gray water, so we had to quickly bath her. I had to wrap her in my shirt because she was so dirty, and then get her into the bathtub and hold on to her while I was running her bath. Oh my goodness, what a night. No, not much relaxing tonight, that's for sure. But Bella's all tucked in for the night. That makes me happy. We can hear those coyotes out there, and I just hate her being out there when I can hear those coyotes yodeling. Sometimes it sounds like we're completely surrounded by different packs of them. So I feel so much better knowing she's in the barn. And she was all wet again too. So anyway, that makes me really happy knowing she's tucked in there. I'm just going to wait till these tomatoes, the second batch, are done. Hopefully no exploding tomatoes in this batch. One jar exploded. I have no idea why that would happen. It was right at the right pressure and the right time and everything. So anyway, gonna get these ones done, but I think I am done for tonight. I've been sitting here looking at some of my cookbooks, and I just love cookbooks with beautiful pictures, and I have like 8 million sticky notes in them. Chris always makes fun of me because all of my books have so many sticky notes in them, but I have some beautiful cookbooks. I have Anna Olson's and the Duchess one, this one here. And like I said, a lot of mine are not even unpacked. Of course, I have lots of cupcake recipe books too. But when I have to sit out here waiting for something, and I'm going to have to do a lot of that, obviously, with all these tomatoes to can, I just sit and look at my cookbooks, and I'm going to look through my cheese recipe books too, because I'm so excited about having fresh milk to make my own cheese. Anyway, we're done for tonight. Hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit that notification bell, and share this video with your family and friends. And we'll see you next time.